Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zapersky. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of elite consultants, where you'll learn the strategies, tactics, and mindset to grow a highly profitable and successful consulting business. Hey, it's Michael Zapersky, and today I'm very excited to have Mark Bowden joining us. Mark, welcome.
Oh, Michael, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this today, Mark. And let's just dive right into it. For those who aren't familiar with your work, just take a moment and explain what you do.
Yeah, so I'm an expert in human behavior and body language, and I help people all over the world stand out, win trust, gain credibility every time they communicate. So it's really about human communication and how you can use your own behavior and body language to influence and persuade people whenever you've got those critical communications. Now, I do that through I've got 4 books out there on body language and human behavior. I give a lot of keynote speeches all over the world, train people all over the world, and produce videos as well and write a few articles. Yeah.
The first time I really learned about you was at a conference that I attended. You were one of the featured speakers and really left an impression with me. As I mentioned, I think you were probably the best speaker from that whole day and certainly the one that I remember the most. So I really enjoyed what you shared. I'm excited to have you share a bit of your knowledge, wisdom, and expertise here with us today.
Great.
Your clients include Royal Bank, TD, Amex, Viva, Microsoft, Google, Toyota, VW, Samsung, P&G, a whole bunch of well-known brands and names. But who was your first client?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Now I've got to go way back. Yeah. So it was a PR company in London. And it was during the dot-com crash. And they knew of the work that I was doing in the entertainment world around how you have trust and credibility and win that trust with people and change people's feelings very, very quickly when you're communicating. And they came to me and said, hey, can you do that in the world of business? And I said, well, the people in the world of business got, roughly 2 arms, 2 legs and a head in the same place as everybody else I've been working with. And they said, yeah, roughly. Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'll come in and do it. And their situation is that they had, because it was a dot-com crash, there was a lot of bad news around. There was bad news, but underlying that, there with some of the organizations they were working with, there were some strong fundamentals, and they needed ways for audiences that their clients were communicating with to, get across the bad news, but also with that, get across the true fundamental story of the companies that they were representing. And what that meant is that people were going to have to build trust very, very quickly in a place where trust had been lost. And so that was my first corporate client. So you've really taken me back there.
Well, I'm going to try and take you a little bit further around that as well.
Yeah.
How did you leverage that first client then to get your next one? Was it through just word of mouth, or, were you actively starting to seek clients and do your own marketing at that stage?
Oh, yeah. Wow. You got some good questions. These are ones I don't get normally. This is good. So how did I leverage? I don't think I did. I think what happened next was, because at the time I was very much in the media entertainment area with my partner at the time, still is my partner, but a life partner and business partner still, Tracy. There was an opportunity to build a company that would take the innovations and the techniques within the arts world and transfer them to business. There was a chance to establish a company to do that with a very prestigious arts organization at the time in London. And so actually instead what we did was go to the arts organization and go, oh yeah, we know how to do this. We've had a client in this area. And I think we can build a company and a business that would almost agent arts, innovation, technology, ideas around communication into business. So actually, instead of going out and seeking new clients for us, we then built an agency that would do it for us and many others.
That's a really interesting approach. Why take that approach? Because to start with, oftentimes people have a lot of fear and hesitation around just even marketing their own business. And here you are going out and almost building a business to do the thing that a lot of people are afraid to do. What was the real mindset behind that approach?
Well, I think it's a mindset that all of us who are entrepreneurial or working in business have to take. It was the risk involved. So it sounds a little bit risky, doesn't it? It sounds like, wow, Instead of just building something small for yourself, you go and build something really big for everybody else. Well, the arts organization had some money to do that. So they were essentially going to assume all the risk. So when that happens, when you've got essentially a partner who goes, yeah, we'll just assume all the financial risk on this, it seems like the path of least resistance, or certainly a pathway where you've got, some power behind you. And also they had a very, very strong brand, an institutional brand, offices within the center of London. I mean, right in the West End of London. So there was a whole bunch of power that we could partner with there. On the outside, it looks like a lot of risk. It was actually less risk to do it that way.
Well, I think what you mentioned, which is just such an important lesson for everyone in business, is you found where there was opportunity and need and the ability to invest, right? You kind of went to a source that could provide the cash injection or just really had the desire to move forward, where so often people are kind of banging their head against the wall, trying to convert or to persuade or to get someone to buy who isn't even a buyer. They're just not looking for what that consultant or person has to offer. So that's a really interesting, I guess, approach that you took there and the way that you did it. And it's a good example for others.
Yeah. And I think part of what, again, helped it feel like the risk was relatively low is I'd had this initial experience within business with the first client and realized just how big the need was in terms of their feeling of this is really important. We need to get good at communication. We need a fast way to do it. We need the best techniques. We need them fast. We need this to really work. And this organization was pretty big in the area that it was. And I kind of went, well, if they need this, then they can't be alone. It can't be that everybody else has got it right and they just got it wrong. There must be so many more out there who are in exactly the same position. And the work had gone well as well. So I knew I could deliver to their problem, essentially. There was a clear problem. I knew I could deliver really without doing anything that you probably should do, which is to really look at the market and go, is there a problem? I just went on the hunch that, look, if these guys, if they haven't got it right, nobody's got it right.
Out of all the marketing activities that you've done over the years, Mark, what would you say has really worked best for you? I mean, what is kind of the activity that you've put the most focus on and just the one that's provided the greatest return for you? What would you say to that? What stands out in your mind?
I'm going to say two things. And the first thing is not achievable by everybody, but it's achievable by many, I think, which is, look, part of my business is keynote speaking and training people and appearing live with people to do the work. And that essentially is the best marketing for more of that. So I'm in an enviable position and an extraordinary position, but not extraordinary for everybody, that the work that I do, the paid work that I do, is an advert for more paid work that I do. Clients are buying adverts from me.
Right. So you're getting paid to speak, which then gets you more people who want you to speak and they pay you to speak again. And then because of that, they also then bring you into their company to do training and consulting and so forth for them.
Yeah. So it escalates and escalates and escalates. And essentially the way you stop having too much work is you raise the price. You put the brake on by raising the price because the demand increases.
And how do you know when to raise the price? Because a lot of consultants deal with this where, inside they might be feeling like, yeah, I'm not really getting what I feel I deserve to be getting, but I also don't want to lose an opportunity or lose a prospective client by charging too much. So what has been your approach to pricing and to ensuring that you're really maximizing the value that you're creating for everyone that you work with?
I have something that maybe other consultants don't have, which is there's only one of me. I haven't built as yet a consultancy where there are many of us being able to deliver pretty much the same thing. So that means for me, there is a finite resource, as with another consultancy, but you can add another consultant, essentially.
Right.
So there comes a point whereby you've got potentially 3 people who will say, I want you on October the 23rd. And at that point, you've got to go, okay, I need to raise my price. I mean, I'm not saying we do it on those 3 then and make them fight for who pay most. No, that's not the case. But once that happens, once you go, oh, okay, look, there were 3 people, 2 people coming in on the same day. I mean, 3 is a pretty good indicator.
So are you saying then, Mark, then for you, it's really just based on what you've observed in terms of demand? And so based on that, you go, okay, yeah, I guess a lot of people are interested in what I have to offer. I should increase my fees.
Yeah, look, there are loads of ideas around why you raise fees, but my understanding of, fundamental 101 economics is supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard to throw that one out of the window as not being a really good theory on economic theory and pricing mechanism.
Right.
Look, there is a market out there in terms of, let's just say, keynote speaking that says, look, you're not going to get over, let's say in Canada, you're not going to get over maybe $5,000 for a keynote unless you've got a book. You're not going to get 10,000 unless you've got several books. You're not going to get 15 unless you've got a certain amount of notoriety. 25 need to have gone to space. You need to have been an astronaut or something. So there is a market out there. But that's not to say if you're the astronaut, that if 3 people are coming in going, I want the astronaut on that date, you might be able to go, okay, really, it should be 40. So I think there is a market around how good are you? What's your notoriety? Which might be about how good are the people going to feel this is going to be before you've even done anything.
Right.
So that, would they buy a ticket?
And how do you tie offering your speaking services, keynote or otherwise, with your training and consulting services? Is that something that you offer to all people, even if someone approaches you for, hey, can you give us a keynote? Do you talk to them as well about offering training and consulting? Or, I'm really interested in your approach to your service offerings and how you have found to just be most efficient and effective and to generate the most revenue for you as well.
Yeah, I'm sure as many of the listeners find, if you have ways to create big value packages right up front, that can be a lot better. So if we can go to an organization or organization approaches us and we can say, look, the problem is maybe not in an individual area of the company. Why don't I do a keynote to everybody in sales? When's your sales convention? Let's do something for everybody in sales. And then let's find an area of sales that you want to put a little more focus on. And why don't I then come in and do some group training there? And then why don't we hone down on, let's say, 15 people there that you want to do some individual one-on-one training with? And why don't we look at the long tail of this keynote and there's some online video training that we can have? Hey, why doesn't everybody get a book? There's a whole bunch of avenues by which you can charge more, but charge more because you're adding more value and you're going in and going, let's deal with the issue, let's deal with the problem and make sure it's properly dealt with. Look, and there are other organizations that go, we want an hour's keynote and then we're done because we want to say that we've done you. We did the body language thing, communication and body language, we're done. That's okay as well. It's just the really smart organizations that really do have an issue and want to deal with the issue will want to engage you for that bigger piece. And so, of course, they get a better result out of that.
Well, I think, and also what you just mentioned, Mark, which is a really great example for everyone, is you didn't just say, hey, yes, we can do speaking and we can do some coaching, we can do some online training. So it wasn't about the input or the deliverable. Right. It was really about the way that you explained it is based on the need and the value and the opportunity. And you kind of went layer by layer deeper into the organization. You're finding ways then to provide more value to that organization. And so, of course, you're going to talk about what the deliverable is that they're getting, but it's also about the output, right? The result, the outcome.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important for everyone to know, as you're talking with prospective clients in the marketplace about your offerings. So I would be completely remiss if I didn't talk to you about your expertise, which is body language and human behavior. So let's just kind of dive into that for a moment here. What do you believe are the most common mistakes that consultants or other professionals, especially kind of in professional services, are typically making when they meet with buyers? While we work with a lot of seasoned and experienced consultants here at Consulting Success, I'm often contacted by new early stage consultants. Invariably, the question I'm asked is, what are the steps I should take to become a successful consultant and grow my consulting business to my first 6 figures per year? Well, I'm excited to announce that we've opened the doors for our Momentum program. This is our most popular program for early stage consultants, and it has helped almost 1,000 consultants to start, run, and grow successful consulting businesses. It gives you the step-by-step plan to help you with your messaging, your fees, and pricing strategies, how to win more proposals, how to go to market more effectively, developing a marketing system to generate leads consistently, and so much more. And right now, until September the 19th, you can sign up for Momentum and get 50% off the regular price by going to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO. Only 100 spots are available to join Momentum and get 50% off. This deal is only available until September the 19th or until all 100 spots are gone. We won't be opening up new spots in this program for several months, so don't wait. Go to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO.
Yeah, really good question. I imagine what's happening, and I imagine this from what I've seen with consultants that I've worked with, especially when they're in that trying to prove themselves state. Let's say it's that selling state, essentially. They start using the behaviors of the seller rather than the behaviors of the consultant. So my guess is they start to have the body language and behavior of pushing information at the potential client or client that they want to persuade to buy more, pushing at them rather than being available to them to learn more. My fix around this would be to go, what do you think the body language and behavior of selling is? And what does that look like? And what do you think the body language and behavior of consulting is? And what does that look like? Because you're wanting them to buy consulting. You're not wanting them to buy selling. The problem is, if you were my client, I'd be going, look, the problem is you're coming across like a salesperson, not a consultant. You want them to buy more consulting.
What would that actually look like? I mean, just to help people kind of really create that image, when you say, selling to me, my mind starts to just kind of go towards the direction of almost maybe moving more with my hands or being a bit more, I don't know if it's proactive, but almost like leaning forward. Whereas if I'm consulting, I'm maybe leaning a little bit back. I'm taking notes. I'm asking questions. I'm pausing. But that's just where my mind goes, very quickly. You're an expert in body language. What image can we give people to really help them to take something actionable away from this? They can almost analyze themselves.
Well, you're being very expert at this at the moment, as I would imagine our listeners are as well. I was thinking about it as well, and I assumed exactly the position you were talking about there. I've leant forward onto the table. I'm ready to speak like it's my go, because I've got to push information at you. There's an urgency, there's an urgent tension in my body right now. Every time I talk to you right now, I'm gesturing forward towards you, and my gestures are quite, I would say, agitated, kind of angular, and almost kind of jabbing at you, because I kind of want you to say, I'm buying. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, I'm not leant back in my chair, but I'm now sitting more upright in my chair. I'm now supporting my own body a little bit more. Instead of my hands being at chest height, which they were as I was kind of leant on my table and jabbing at you, my hands are free from the table. I'm doing these open palm kind of gestures at around my stomach, navel height. It's more open. It's more gentle. And I'm already feeling like I should stop talking to you right now and let you talk a little bit more, because I want to know more about you.
Well, what's interesting, Mark, when you're saying this right now, I feel like your tone and your pace of your voice changed.
Exactly. And they have. And that's not on purpose. That's part of what we call the cascade effect in behavior. That's natural. This is the natural voice, I would say, of the consultant me. And if I just lean on the table now again, and I'm assuming these positions of what I believe to be the salesman, there's nothing wrong with this. There's no bad behavior. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want. It's just when I'm the consultant me, I need to give them a taste of the consultant, not the taste of the sales me, because I need them to get a sense of here's what it's like to work with me. I don't think they need to work with a salesperson. They need to work with a consultant. So again, you can hear this difference in tone, this difference in rhythm that naturally comes. I mean, it may still be interesting for you. I bet it has an urgency for you. I bet it wants to move you on to the next stage. And I'm not saying within our sales conversation that there isn't a place for this person here. I would just want to give you, more often than not, a taste of this person.
Clearly, you've applied this in your work with very well-known organizations. So obviously this works and you've written books about it. I've seen it firsthand from one of your talks. But for everyone listening who might be saying, well, this sounds just a little bit hard to believe, or does this really work? And if I change my tone or my posture, is that really going to have a tangible impact and benefit and result for my business? Can you share, Mark, maybe a quick case study or just results that your clients have seen or that you've witnessed firsthand when people adjust kind of their mindset and their actions and their body language in meetings or in sales types of situations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess it's still a little bit anecdotal, but ultimately, what happens when you do this consistently and you do the right actions consistently is there's a whole different atmosphere in the room. There's just a whole different event goes on. I mean, that's what you're trying to do with the body language. You're creating a different event. And therefore, with a different event, there's more possibility of the outcome that you want. The outcome fits the event. You create the event, you get the outcome. Now, how have I seen that transpire? And, anything from people winning elections to people doing literally $500 million deals where usually they haven't been getting them. I mean, huge economic differences, massive economic differences. On the whole, look, the stuff that's easy to do, the stuff that's easy to get, the deals, the clients that are easy to get, my guess is we're all getting them anyway. You're not in the business of consulting right now if you can't get the easy clients. They're yours. It's the ones that you are in competition for, or they're now like yours to lose, and they're big pieces of work, and you know that it would make a difference to your business. And now the anxiety sets in, the confusion, the not knowing, will I get it? Will I not get it? Will I win? Will I not win? And the body language of that can leak into the room and set the agenda and set the atmosphere and pin the event down to outcomes that more fit the not knowing. So you get outcomes like, yeah, we'll go away and think about that, because you were behaving like somebody who should be thought about outside of the room, not thought about there and then with you. And you're behaving like somebody who shouldn't be decided on right now, rather than somebody who deserves a decision right now. So, others conform to us. We start to play a role for them and they perform to that role. We start to perform and behave as the person who should be thought about outside of the room, not in front of them. And so they go and do that and they say, yeah, we'll go away and think about that. Rather than if you're the person that behaves in such a way that says, look, what's your decision right now? What are you thinking right now? And you have that body language of somebody who comes across as, if you want to reject me right now, I can take it. It's okay. You can say it in front of me. Or if you want to say, let's work together right now, I can take that right now. So I hope that was descriptive enough to give you an idea of what goes on.
Well, I think it certainly is. And really what I love about this, Mark, is that I think all of us know this to be true. We've been in situations where we feel either very connected to someone or very uncomfortable with someone based on how they're speaking, their actions, their speed or tone and pace. And we've seen that. But I think what's very interesting is that very often, because I think even for myself, this resonates, where most of us don't actually spend time thinking that much about how are we going into a conversation in terms of our body language or our tone. It's just kind of maybe an afterthought. And we end up finishing up a meeting thinking to ourselves, oh, like, did I talk too quickly? Did I say the right things? Did I interact the right way? And so we kind of analyze it. But if we approach every opportunity and actually prepare for this as you're sharing with us a little bit beforehand, give some thought to it, it can really make a big difference.
Right. And just to fill on that, I think there's a process, very quick process you can use around that. My guess is when you're going into pitch, for example, you're putting a lot of thought into what is the product, the service, the consultancy that they need. Okay. And how can I best let them know that I can supply that and more, and delight them? But how much time are we spending on who is it that they need as their consultant? Who is it that they really need? And if I know an idea of who is it they need, how much do I want to be that person with them in the room? Can I supply that to them? Can I make sure that I do everything I can to be the person that, show up as the kind of person they need, to show up as the kind of person that I want to be? There may be some compromise there, or it may be a beautiful fit. But ultimately, we're often thinking about, how do I make the product service to fit them? And don't think about, how do I make sure that I'm the person to fit them as well? Who am I going to show up as well as what product, what service am I going to put in front of them?
Yeah, some great ideas there. And thanks for sharing that, Mark. I know we're getting up on time here, but I want to just explore one final thing here with you, which is
Sure.
How have you mastered your craft? Because clearly this is not a field that you can just stand up in front of a room and talk in generalities about human behavior and body language. So for those who really want to achieve mastery, who really want to be like the preeminent leaders in their field or in the top percentile of experts in their field and industry, what is your approach? What's kind of like your daily practice, or how have you approached mastery in your area?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, stay obsessed, which means you'll probably always be niching and niching and niching, to keep the obsession that you have, which ultimately probably drives your ability to be expert in your field. Just always make sure you're probably going deep rather than wide within your area. My guess is you've probably filled out a lot of the wide, but keep obsessed and keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you do go wide, I would say go really wide, go outside of your scope. So you're picking up from different areas, because I think that helps the innovation piece. I mean, I think that's generally a well-known innovation technique, is get right outside of your area so that you can bring those ideas back to your area. I think that builds expertise as well. So get really niche, really deep, go so wide that you're not in your area anymore. And then I believe just stick at it. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't give up on where you're trying to head to with this, because ultimately most other people will. And I'm never quite sure whether it's about being the best or just lasting longer than anybody else.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So there's my take on it.
So I just want to clarify one part on this, and that is that you mentioned being very specific and focusing in. So you've done that with human behavior and body language. I mean, when I think of Mark Bowden, I think of a body language expert. Also, probably because the talk that you gave that I saw was on that topic. The book that I have of yours is also on that topic. I think it's a McGraw-Hill title, I believe. But you also mentioned going wide. And so how does that look? Because as an example, you could brand yourself and position yourself as a communications expert or a communications trainer. But in my mind, I have the body language expert. So just can you kind of fill in a few of those gaps for me?
Oh, so wide for me might look like, recently I did a course at Harvard in molecular gastronomy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, what has the chemistry of food
got
to do with human behavior, body language, and ultimately communication, influence, and persuasion?
When you say going wide, I just want to be clear for everyone. You're not suggesting going wide in terms of your branding and positioning and service offerings. You're talking about mastery in terms of studying and opening yourself up to different potential breakthroughs that can only come from studying and looking at things outside of your core area.
Right, absolutely. And because of that, that's why when you get into a deeper engagement with me, say we would have worked one-on-one together, you would experience not only that depth of knowledge within the consulting that I'm giving you, but some innovations there, which are only because I purposely seek to look way outside of what people would expect to be the scope, which means I've got tools and techniques that just nobody else is going to have. And so I think what that speaks to in terms of the consultant is in terms of the brand and the positioning, I would guess, is that you're getting something which is just way more intelligent than many of the other potential products and services out there. It just feels more valuable.
Well, Mark, this has been just terrific. I want to thank you again for coming on here. But I also want to make sure that everyone can learn more about your company and your work and just have an opportunity to dig deeper into all of that. So what's the best way for people to learn more about your work and to connect with you?
Yeah, very simple. Just get over to truthplane.com, TRUTHPLANE, truthplane.com. You'll find me there. Wander around there. You're welcome to contact me anytime. You'll find ways to contact me. Link in with me, Mark Bowden. Get to know me. I always talk back with people. So reach out, please do.
Good stuff. We'll have all of that and more in the show notes. So just head over to consultingsuccess.com, type in Mark Bowden. You'll find us there. Go to the podcast page. We'll have all the links there for you. Mark, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, been great chatting with you. Great questions. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review, head on over to iTunes. And if you'd like to develop consistent lead flow and a highly profitable consulting business, learn more about our coaching programs at consultingsuccess.com.